Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining our live AI workshop, How to Write Effective Prompts. Today we have CEO of 7th DI Technologies, Joshua Holloway.
Hey, Kat, thank you so much for coming in and standing in for Taylor. I know this is your first one coming in and doing one of these webinars, so thank you so much. Hi, everybody, wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, who's ever watching this. So welcome to kind of our second workshop with working with AI. And I realized that the first workshop we did kind of skipped ahead getting into kind of advanced items. So what we decided to do is take a step back and say, let's show everybody how to create an effective prompt or give them a framework to create a good, effective prompt when working with ChatGPT. So here it is, episode 2, if you will. Let's go ahead and get started on it, and we'll see how it goes. All right, so for today's agenda, we're going to go over a couple of quick core foundations for looking at or utilizing AI. We'll talk about more than just ChatGPT. We'll get into a framework, and we're going to go with the first framework to kind of help everybody write prompts is the PTCF. We'll get into that one. Then based off of that, we'll give you a couple other techniques from there using the zero shot, a few shot, step back, and chain of thought. These are items that we'll definitely talk about, and then we're going to demo them live for you real quick, just so you can see it. When I say live, I've already done the prompts because we all know that some of these AIs take a little bit of time. And then we have a bonus one utilizing an entirely different AI platform and kind of showing you how different platforms out there can do different things, even though they might be like the others. And then best practices, live demos, and then time for a Q&A. Overall, what we want you guys to get from this is the best way to write prompts and make them business ready, get good output, diagnose and fix weak prompts, which I'm going to demo a weak prompt for you, and then reuse a set of demo prompts. So you all should have received a copy of the prompts that we're going to be using today. And then at the end, we actually have a cheat sheet guide that we're going to be sending out to everybody along with the recording so that you can kind of go through and follow along and learn new different frameworks and different ways to prompt AI. And hopefully this will help you guys out in your day-to-day business. And then some practical examples. If you can, today we're going to be primarily working in ChatGPT. So if you want to follow along and try out these prompts, open up ChatGPT and get that one open. Another one we're going to be showcasing is Claude.ai. If you want to go into Claude, that's CLAUDE.ai. We're going to be using that one for long form prompting. So we're not going to get too far in depth into long form prompting, but we're just going to show you the individual capabilities today. So first and foremost, core foundations. AI does not equal Google, and Google does not necessarily equal AI until you incorporate Gemini. So when it comes to working with artificial intelligence like ChatGPT, Claude, as I mentioned before, or any of the other ones, it's not just a search engine. One of the biggest mistakes that a lot of us as first adopters for ChatGPT or any AI is we treat it like Google. We want it to return data like Google, but Google is a search engine that returns hyperlinks to websites. It finds the data. AI does deep research or gives you more information. So think of it as the tasks. Google just finds the links. AI will do tasks and do functionality for you. When it comes to prompting with AI, one of our famous phrases, I like to use it a lot, especially if you work with me, is garbage in is garbage out. So if you're putting in garbage prompts, expect to get garbage answers back out, or vague in and vague out. So really at the end of this, we want all of our prompts to be clear and concise and precise so that we're getting the information right off the bat, and we don't have to constantly argue with the AI or give it wrong information to where maybe we're not getting accurate data or we're being misled. The other thing to think about with AI is it's not the all-knowing, all-powerful PhD genius. Really, at its core, think of it more of like a capable intern, very intelligent. It still needs direction. So kind of as your core foundation, if you treat artificial intelligence kind of like that capable or smart intern, and you just have to give it direction, a lot of your prompting will come off a little bit stronger, a little bit more capable with precise information, and then we'll give it, context, formatting. And as we get into it, you'll see where that the PTCF comes in and improves upon your framework when you're creating prompts. So an example we have here is tell me about marketing. If I was to put that into ChatGPT, it would just go off into a tangent and just talk about marketing. But if I said you are a senior B2B marketing manager, you can even tell it has X amount of years of experience, and then provide a task and a context and the format of how you want to see that information. It will be more detailed and more granular to the information that you're looking for. So keep that in mind when we're writing those prompts. The other thing to consider is choosing the right AI for the job. So standard models, which would be our first versions of ChatGPT all the way up to ChatGPT 4.0, and anything above is fine, is a standard model. It best matches when you want to summarize things. You want it to just pull out a snippet of information that you give it or that you have it look it up, but it's a very simple task. Reasoning models, that's where they begin to think longer and harder, which I typically just use ChatGPT 5. Obviously, every prompt I put in now takes longer because you'll see it if for those users it says thinking, right? Kind of like we sit there and think, it's doing the same thing. So in a reasoning model, you get better for multi-step approach, logic, planning, troubleshooting. It's really thinking about the information that it's going to bring forth to you. That's where you can say create a 4-week onboarding plan, show dependencies and risks. You can begin to give it more information and more in depth. The other one is deep research models. That's your ChatGPT 5 and above or Claude. That handles that long form request, and we'll show you what that looks like. That's when your prompts are very long, methodical, and planned out. They're not going to be a very small paragraph of 3 to 4 sentences. You're going to go beyond that and give it more in depth, and you're going to make it think, and you're going to make it pause, and it's going to give you a lot of information back out. So deep research, compare 3 vendors with cited sources, flag gaps or bias. Think about how much time we would put into finding that. Obviously, it's going to turn it around in seconds or a minute. It just depends on how long it's going to be going through that information and how long it takes to bring it back, thus saving us time because we've instructed our capable intern, if you will, to do that job while we're going off and doing everything else. Before I move on, Kat, has any questions or anything popped up?
No, not at the moment.
Okay, great. So lastly, let's go over some best practices. Clear and simple. If you're confusing yourself, you're confusing AI. Be specific about the output, length, tone, structure, file type if you want it to produce a text file, a PDF file, or a Word document, Excel file table. Give it that answer. Don't assume that it's going to be able to read your mind. Give more instructions than constraints. You don't always have to block it. Allow for free thinking on its part, so that you can get the possibilities of other information that it finds. So the more you constrain it, the more it's going to narrow it down, and it's fine if that's what you absolutely need. But just remember, instruction is more important over constraints. And then give context, right? Who's your audience? What are your goals? What's the data? When you give that, it kind of gives it a constraint, but it opens it up because it's like, I'm doing it for other executives, or I'm performing this for other HR directors. And my goal is to show them the best methodology for onboarding and offboarding. And then iterate, ask for a revision instead of starting over. I like this one because that brings me back to the idea of prompting when you ask for like a picture or you ask for an email and everybody's response is make it better or improve it. Think about how you would feel showing that information to somebody and they say make it better. You'd be slightly confused, like, how do I make it better? What context do I need to put that in? What does that look like? So when you're interacting with AI, think about that. Think about how you would respond to that, and then think, in my prompting, if I gave it just a little bit more data, I would be able to get closer to my output that I'm looking for. So best practices, things to consider when working with ChatGPT or any other AIs out there. So let's go ahead and jump into a framework. And I'm sure you're all asking, WTF is a PTCF. No, I'm sorry, I didn't want to kill you with acronyms. It's just how it goes in my world. So PTCF stands for persona, task, context, and format. And as we break that down, it's how we structure that prompt. So as a persona, we're going to assign it a role. You're a senior marketing manager. As a task, with leading verbs, we want to create, summarize, rewrite, or analyze. Context, again, we're saying, what do we want to do? What do we want to get out of that with the context, summarize, rewrite? And then finally, the format. Do we need it bulletized, tableized, or code? So JSON is a code structure or text structure for my side of the fence. Typically, tone, length, anything in that format is kind of how you want to begin to structure and prompt that out. Kat, before I move on, any other questions pop up?
We have one that came in. It had asked, can multiple people on my team use the same custom GPTs?
Oh yeah, definitely I can get to that one. So with custom GPTs, if anybody attended our first webinar about creating employees, depending on the paid for accounts that you have, you can share those with other people and collaboratively work with them. It's when you get into the enterprise accounts where it's more team structured. But yes, a link can be shared out. So hopefully that answers your question. Moving on. So here is what a basic template would look like, and then we're going to show you real world examples. So you are a role, here's my clear action, my relevant background, constraints, audience data, and then format, here's my structure, length, and style. So as we get ready to demo, who's ever written a prompt like this? Write an email. And I love ChatGPT's response to this one because I did it because I wanted to see what it would do. And then follow it up with a better, more PTCF related format. So let's go ahead and take a look at it real quick. And here we are. So write an email. Sure. What's the email about and who's the recipient? Well, of course it would ask that because we gave it no context. We gave it no information. We gave it nothing to go off of. But if we take it the next step and create a framework around it, and we go with your customer success manager, you draft a renewal email, clients usage up 22%, contract ends November 30th. They value analytics, aim for a 20-minute call next week, format 120 to 150 words, friendly professional, subject line plus body plus CTA. It wouldn't take too long to templatize this exact setup. So every time you could copy and paste it and use this a little bit faster. But when you look over here at the output, here's what I put in and here's my output. And it's now a templatized email that I could use for any of my clients going forward. So this obviously we know to look for the good old fashioned M dashes and things like that. Clean up the email message. Always read it ahead of time. But this is a pretty good email to get started with. Uh, Moving on to the next one. So here's a business case example. You're a finance analyst, summarize last quarter's performance of OpenAI, generate revenue information, quarter over quarter, churn, product launch in April, audience. Here's all this information, right? When you get more exact, you end up, here's my prompt, modified or utilizing the PTCF. And here's its response. I now have in-depth financial information broken down in the context that I asked for. So you can see how building out this structure provides more context and more information back to you. A couple of the other ones that we're going to demo on right now is the zero-shot prompting, the few-shot prompting, step back, and chain of thought or COT. So let's break those down. So zero-shot is a straightforward, and you can be explicit with the PTCF. With this one, it's pretty much what we have already written. How does that look? Basic, narrowed down, and what we're going to do is we're going to have it be a technical writer, create a quick start guide for LastPass. I threw one in there. It's a new users of password manager, includes setup, MFA recovery, tips, non-technical audience, 6 bullet point steps, and a warning box. So here's my prompt because I wanted to create a how-to using a zero shot. That's very direct, not much context to it, but our output, here's my quick start guide with my bulleted. Here's my information I need with, I could create a quick SOP for somebody. Again, I had my intern put this together and boom, here we go. I've created an SOP real quick in a matter of minutes and my warning box at the end. So you can see how the structure begins to improve based on how we look at it. Next, it's going to be a few shot prompting. That's 1 to 3 examples. So the AI learns your style and structure. So with that zero shot, you're a technical writer, create a quick start guide for oh, sorry, I jumped one. You're a few shot, sorry. So you are my writing assistant, draft a 200-word intro, and here are 2 samples of my writing style. So this one's a little bit fun because what I did is I actually used an employee that I created to actually respond to this one. And it writes wealth management for me. So I kind of interact with it. Typically, when you interact with your ChatGPTs, treat it like you would anybody else. Say good morning, you interact. I even told it performing a webinar today. This is what we're going to be creating. I threw at it. Here's the few shot prompt. It asked for my examples, so I gave it a couple of examples of my writing style, and boom, here we go. My quick little 200-word intro for just general professional prompting. So boom, here we go. 200 words. I have it. It's done. I created a small ChatGPT prompt using just a couple of examples. And from there, we get a good output. After that, we have the step back prompting. That's where we're going to ask ChatGPT or whatever tool you're using to take a step back and think, or take a step back and think before you answer, or think before you answer. We're giving it, you're a strategy advisor. Step back and outline the 3 most plausible approaches to reduce customer support tickets by 20% in 90 days before recommending one. We're looking at a SaaS app, ticket drivers, onboarding, confusion, and billing. Take these all into consideration. Option table approach, give it approach, effort, impact, risks, then a 100-word recommendation. So taking that minimal amount of information, we were able to create the table, because when you tell it to take a step back, it thinks before it answers rather than predictive answering. And then it gives me my 100 words approach, and it breaks down all this information. Again, useful information that can be used in a meeting, any marketing materials, email to be addressed, anything along those lines that you have to share data. And then last but not least, the COT, and that one's going to be you are a support engineer. I want to diagnose a login issue. Users get an MFA loop. That means MFA just constantly just keeps prompting and keeps prompting and keeps prompting and keeps prompting over and over and over again. And then let's give us the capability to fix it, or give us the option of how we would fix that. So going into that one, we're going to diagnose that. Here's our prompt. We had it think before it answered. And then here is the approach to fixing that. So it gives you likely causes to the issue, a test plan, and a list of the individual fixes that it could potentially be to take care of that 2-factor loop. You could do this for any other thing that you're trying to write out, or you need a lot of in-depth information. Now, I'm using ChatGPT 5 for this. I wouldn't ask version 4 to do something like this. It might come back with less information. That's because I need that deep think capability. And for that one, I would definitely go with like Claude or ChatGPT 5. Some common pitfalls and quick fixes. So pitfalls to watch out for, being too vague or too short in your prompts, missing audience or constraints, right? Give it a good audience of who this information is for. Give it some constraints, asking for everything at once. Versions of ChatGPT can't handle a lot of requests and a lot longer form requests. That's where short form requests come in. And the quick fixes are use these elements from the PTCF framework that we provided to you, or the other frameworks that you'll receive after this webinar, and then split the tasks out. In your mind, say, hey, I want to outline this first, interact with the ChatGPT or any of the other models that you're working with. After you've outlined it, you can tweak it, you can give it updates, you can give it changes. Then you can move on to the draft, you can polish it, and then you've stepped through the issue, or request different formats. So don't just jump in, give it all the information and say, by the way, make this a Word doc. Sometimes it breaks the ability to generate like a Word doc or a text file or even a PDF file, but be concise, be clear and concise on the format and step to it. The other thing I wanted to demo with you is utilizing Claude.ai, and this is a long form request. So what I did is I created a prompt, and I'm going to go ahead and leave this up for everybody to take a quick little look at. But you can see here that we gave it a lot of context and a lot of information of what we wanted it to build out. And this is more of your longer form approach. We've taken everything that we've introduced you to today, and we've put that into creating this long form prompt. If I was working with ChatGPT, 5 maybe, or most of the versions below, I would have broken this up into several steps. But in this case, using ChatGPT 5 or Claude, I can go ahead and do this in a long form manner, and your output will be a lot greater. So I've asked it to do some technical explanation, create a comparison table, file optimize prompt. So it's optimizing the prompt because I asked it to do so. And here is a text file I can download. Expected AI output examples. So again, I had it think about what it would most likely answer with anyways, and it broke it all down. And then a workshop tip. That's a lot of context. This is your long form. This is when you're giving your intern multiple steps to get to the point. I did it in a small paragraph, a little bit longer paragraph, but I got all of this information out of the system. And I wanted the opportunity to show you a different tool. And also, the other reason why I bring this up is we're working on a version 2.0 for creating employees utilizing GPTs, but we actually now have a long form version that takes a lot of those steps that we created for you and makes them one. So you just put in one file. Claude would ask you a couple of questions, and it will give you back everything that you need to create that employee with all of the information that we previously shared everybody, but now you're doing it in just 2 clicks. So in a very short period of time. So I just kind of wanted to take the time and show you about that because version 2 will be coming out soon, and we'll be sending it out to everybody who either attended the first one or is interested in receiving that. All right. So just to kind of recap it, remember PTCF is your default for creating prompts. Be specific and simple. If you have questions about the model, remember speed, depth, how much calculating goes into the information I'm asking for, how much data do I want back, which way I should attack it. And then never hesitate to use like the 0 shot for clear tasks, few shots for with the structure and style, step back to explore options, and chain of thought or COT for deep reasoning. On that one, guys, I wanted to say thank you so much for being a part. I'm opening this up for questions. I know we trying to keep these to about the 20 to 25 minute mark. But yeah, if there's any questions out there, now's the time.
We did have somebody chime in and ask, in your professional opinion, what you recommend somebody fairly new to AI to start with, ChatGPT 5 or Claude AI?
Um, I I personally would start with the ChatGPT because you can definitely go through the various versions. Um, Both Claude and Chat are $20 a month, either or. Um, if you're just getting new to prompting, keep it short, keep it sweet, go ChatGPT. You can also generate pictures, images, other different things from that. Where Claude is your deeper thinker, it's your longer form. You're not going to be able to play with it as much, and I hate to say you're not going to learn as much. It's might even be a little bit frustrating because of how you interact with it. So ChatGPT is a little bit more forgiving, I think would be the best way to put it. Plus, there's so many other videos out there beyond this one that would help with you, and that I would always go ChatGPT 5 first, or any of the other models within ChatGPT. And then once you really get that prompting down, do the long form over in Claude.ai. I have both. It gives me the opportunity to really test the capabilities of artificial intelligence to the degree in which we're given access to. Um, Also with ChatGPT 5, I find that when you have a licensed account, you can block your information from being shared through the LLM and protect your data. So you can actually put private information in that. Claude, again, you could do that in the paid for version. It's a little bit harder to find versus ChatGPT. So I think the steps in the process to lock it down is a little bit easier on ChatGPT 5. So again, I guess I'm the fanboy for ChatGPT in this one. So hopefully that helps you out in a long-winded explanation. Kat, any other questions out there?
So we did have one more. How do I make AI sound more like my business or brand voice?
That's a great question. As you interact with either of these or any other AI, if you keep the account going, it learns based off of how you type and interact with it. Obviously, if you're always yelling at it, aggression is going to be its first thought as you interact with it. Building employees inside of like ChatGPT is a great way to interact with the AI and get it to learn your writing styles. You can even feed it in emails, other documents that you've written. It begins to learn your writing styles and how you interact. And then the other way is as you build employees or GPTs in the system that you're going to interact with or talk to, they're not always employees. It could be a financial advisor, it could be a health coach, it could be so many different things that you could put in there, but you can start to create memory files with it. So then as you interact and you think that that was a good interaction, you can keep that as a memory file and store it in just a text file, a Word document, or a PDF, and then store that in the GPT. If anybody's kind of curious about what I'm talking about, I would definitely look at our previous video on building the GPTs. So you can kind of see how I interact with it. I built memory files, and then I created that GPT to constantly interact. I used Ben to write the 200 word um, prompt or explanation about my writing style, and I've interacted with him for the last 6 months. He knows my writing style. I'm sure if I asked, what was your opinion of me, he probably have some fun things to write about that I'm not going to display here in the webinar today. But it's always fun to ask ChatGPT once it's learned from you, like, tell me about me. What do you know about me? What have you figured out? What's my writing style? And you'll get some crazy answers back. Kat, any other questions before we move on?
We had somebody else ask, how can we see the previous presentation?
Previous presentation, that can be on our website. We host our YouTube channel and our videos through our website, directly just going to seventhdi.com. And then we do have a YouTube channel that we post all of these webinars. If you're very interested in maybe getting past marketing materials from those webinars, and you weren't able to get them by signing up for a dead link or a previous link, let us know. We'll be happy to share that information with you. Or if you're interested in getting the new 2.0 version for building GPTs, be happy to run through it. If you're still super confused or having issues getting the GPT off the ground, never hesitate to reach out to me. I love helping people create the ability to have additional ghostwriters or things help them out, and how we can get the system working for them. For me, I think every interaction that I've had, training somebody to create a GPT always has a different outcome. And I'm kind of curious to see how those outcomes come out because it's just like a little tweak of a couple of words or something, and that GPT is their own. It really is. It's customized in their own. I like seeing it. How about Kat? Are we about up, or we have a couple more questions?
That is all.
Well, that's awesome. Everybody, I wanted to say thank you so much for joining in. I appreciate the fact that you give me 30 minutes of your day. I want to be respectful and mindful of that. Um, Between Kat and I, we just wanted to say thank you for attending. Be on the lookout for the video once it's released, and then you'll receive your cheat sheet guide for all the other different frameworks beyond what we touched today. And so it gives you newer frameworks that you can work with and hopefully help you out. So happy prompting. Looking forward to the next. One last little shameless plug. Next month, we'll be doing a webinar on shadow IT costs and expenditures. We will have a guest in on next month's webinar, and we will be showcasing how to suss out the different expenditures that are eating away at your budget and your dollars when it comes to IT. And hopefully, I know we have a cool little free giveaway there too, where we'll be showcasing and giving away a tool to help budgetize your technical costs and kind of extrapolate all of those. So on that, thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you.